Hi, this is Joe again with another review. And for the sake of this video, I'm going to be discussing my preview of the League Championship Series and for the 2016 baseball season. I know previously I missed the entire first round of the divisional round, plus the wildcard games. That's because I got a new computer, and by the time I got everything all set up, I missed the whole first week. So now I'm doing it the second week. Excuse me. I want to go the nitty gritty during the Final Four in for the Major League Baseball season. Now, of course, the more interesting matchup, and the matchup that's going to get, I feel, the not that great publicity, is actually the American League Series, which I feel is going to be the better of the two series. And of course, I think the two teams were even better. And of course, is the matchup that's actually starting tonight. The day I'm doing this video was actually Friday, October 14th, 2016. And of course, tonight's the first game of the Toronto Blue Jays and Cleveland Indians series. And these two teams are red hot right now. So I feel that the matchup is a pretty good one, and also the matchup is pretty much even, and also they have, of course, the two teams have the most rest. And of course, I feel that the sentimental choice is, of course, going to be Cleveland. And I'm talking about two teams that haven't played in the World Series. In the case of the Blue Jays, they haven't been in the World Series since they went back to back in '92 and '93, and the Blue Jays haven't been both times. The last time that Cleveland was in the World Series was in 1997. And like I just said, Cleveland is the most sentimental choice, or the most sentimental pick, because they have not won a World Series since 1948, and they of course the American League team that's gone the longest without winning, which of course means that the second longest team that hasn't won a World Series, and of course the other team that has gone the longest, I'm going to be talking in a second. To me, I like to see Cleveland in there just so they could half of the so-called dream matchup. Because the other matchup being the Cubs, which I'm going to get, like I said, I'm going to get to in a minute. I feel that both teams are very, very good. I kind of like the Blue Jays a little bit more, so I'm going to give it a slight edge. But I'm not going to be that upset if Cleveland makes it. Cleveland makes it to the World Series, because I'd like to see them in there to win. And not only that, but if the Blue Jays go all the way and win the World Series this year, they will be known or past the New York Mets and call themselves the greatest expansion team of all time. Because there are 4 expansion teams that have won 2 championships. The Mets, 69 and 86, of course. The Blue Jays, like I mentioned earlier, they won back-to-back World Championships in 92 and 93. Of course, you also had the Marlins, won twice, in 97 and 2003. Both times as a wildcard team, by the way. And of course, more recently you had Kansas City, they won in 1985. And of course, last year in 2015. So you have those 4 teams won twice. So the Blue Jays having to go all the way and win the World Series, they break that stalemate and win 3 times and call themselves the greatest expansion team of all time. And not only that, but this is the 40th Major League season for the Blue Jays, and they're the only Canadian team that's still left, because the Montreal Expos now moved to Washington, D.C., and they call themselves the Washington Nationals, and they never even played in the World Series. So you have that, and of course the Blue Jays are the only Canadian team to win to the World Series, and not only went to the World Series, but went back-to-back years and won. Both times. So I'm hedging towards Toronto, but I kind of like Cleveland. So I give Toronto a slight edge because I think they're slightly better than Cleveland. Now to the matchup for the National League, and of course everybody's sentimental favorite will be the Chicago Cubs, and they're going to be playing against the Los Angeles Dodgers. Now both these two teams. It's been a long time for either one of these two teams to get to the World Series. The Dodgers, the last time they even went to the World Series was after they beat the Mets, which was the first ever loss for the Mets in the playoffs back in 1988. And I think it was just the other day, which was the exact 28th anniversary of the Dodgers knocking off the Mets in the 1988 playoffs. And you can see every single one of those games on YouTube, by the way. All 7 games between the Mets and the Dodgers in 1988, you can see them all of them on YouTube. And of course, there was also the last year the Dodgers actually won the World Series. So it's been quite a while. Of course, it's even been longer for their opponent, which happened to be the Chicago Cubs. They haven't even played in the World Series in 71 years, since 1945. And of course, that's where the so-called curse of the Billy Goat story, which we're also going to get into. They haven't won a World Series since 1908. Yes, it's been that long since they won since in 1908. The reason why the Cubs have not been in the World Series for so long, well, there are of course multiple theories, but the most popular one is the curse of the Billy Goat. I'm sure I'm not 100% positive, but I'm sure there are videos up on YouTube explaining what the curse of the Billy Goat is. But here's my version of it. What happened was in 1945, the last time the Cubs were in the World Series, there was a tavern in Chicago called the Billy Goat Tavern. And the guy who owned the bar had a Billy Goat named Murphy. So that's why last year, when Danny Murphy hit all those home runs against the Cubs in the 2015 playoffs, that's why he made more references to the Billy Goat, because the Billy Goat's name was actually Murphy, and Daniel Murphy was kicking their asses in the playoffs in 2015. So anyway, the owner of the bar, also was a lifelong a Cubs fan, wanted to bring the goat into Wrigley Field. I think before he used to come into the Wrigley Field before with the goat, and the management allowed him to go. I think grazing that field or whatever. I don't know what the hell the goat was doing in there to begin with, but during the 1945 World Series against Detroit, the Cubs management of the Wrigley family, because they owned the team then, told him, "Hey, don't come in the Billy Goat anymore." They kicked him out, and they kicked the goat out of Wrigley Field. So the owner says, okay, the Cubs would never ever get to the World Series ever again until they let the goat back into the Wrigley Field. And of course, sure enough, the Cubs have never ever played in the World Series since then. Even though the chances of getting to the World Series have been pretty much far and in between. The first time they had a chance to get into the World Series was 1984, when they beat the Mets out for the division. And they had a 2-0 lead against San Diego, and they lost 3 straight. And then 5 years later, in 1989, they were in the playoffs again against the Giants, and they beat it, and they lost in 6 games to the Giants. And then they went in there again until 1998 on the back of Mr. Steroids, Sammy Sosa. They got into the playoffs, and they got knocked off by I believe San Diego. I believe they got knocked off by San Diego in the first round, so that killed that. And of course, everybody was famous for 2003 with the Bartman play. You can see the Bartman play on YouTube, but unfortunately, the documentary, which I believe I did a review previously on Catching Hell, was an ESPN documentary, which was very, very good. If anybody could catch it, ESPN should replay that, by the way, because the Cubs sit 4 wins away of finally getting to a World Series in 1945. They should replay that documentary because it's that damn good. It's definitely one of the best sports documentaries I've seen. Anyway, of course, everybody knows the Bartman play. Bartman messed up on a foul ball that Moises Alou was about to catch, and he reached over and caught the ball. He actually dropped the ball, actually. Literally and figuratively, he dropped the ball. And the Marlins says, hey, again, like, they want to make this guy famous and rally. And sure enough, they did. And they scored 8 runs in the top of the 8th inning. And, of course, broke the Cubs back. The Cubs ended up losing that game. And the Marlins had to play Game 7 to go to the World Series against the Yankees, which they eventually won. And, of course, they broke the Cubs back. And, of course, they were not in, I don't think they were in the playoffs ever again until 2015. Which everybody was so my father kept saying, oh, it's so unexpected that they get to the World Series. I said baloney. There was a bunch of baloney because of the stupid movie Back to the Future 2. Everybody expected for the Cubs to win in 2015. So it's not totally, quote unquote unexpected. Because of that movie. The movie was shit. But it predicted the Cubs. They actually mentioned in the movie, and the movie came out back in 1989, that the Cubs were going to beat Florida or beat Miami in the World Series. But of course, we know they can't beat Miami in the World Series because Miami's in the National League, same league as they are. But that's what it said in the movie. The Cubs win the World Series in 2015. So more people bet on the Cubs last year to win the World Series than any other year in Las Vegas. And since sports gambling was legal in Las Vegas. So what happened? The Cubs made it to the National League Championship the same round as they were going to be starting tomorrow on Saturday, October 15th. Then they were that, and they got that far last year, and they got the asses kicked. They got the asses handed to them. 4 straight by the New York Mets, which I predicted. By the way, I predicted the Cubs were going to lose 4 straight to the Mets last year. That it was the closest they ever got. And I'm telling you right now, the Cubs are not going to win. I hate to tell you this, Cubs fans. If any Cubs fans haven't been watching this video, the Cubs are not going to get to the World Series. They're never, ever going to get there. I still don't think they're going to get there. And because I feel that Kershaw, even though he saved the game, the 5th game of the playoffs just last night, against the Nationals, I still feel that they have to face Kershaw for a possible Game 7 if it goes that far. And Kershaw could beat them, and I feel the Dodgers could beat them. Especially if they had the leg breaker Utley on that team. Even though Utley's a leg breaker. And all he has to do is slide into like Chris Bryant or whomever, break some Cubs' legs on a double play chance at second base, and that's all she wrote. So you have Utley on the team who goes out and breaks legs for a living. Literally, he's like the Major League Baseball's version of Tony Soprano, who goes out and breaks players' legs. As long as that bastard is on the team, I'm still mad at the Mets didn't hit him in the playoffs last year, or even this year. They came close. Syndergaard came close, but the ball didn't physically hit him. Which is another issue altogether. But as long as that leg breaker is on the team, and if they get hot, or if the Dodgers get hot, they could beat the Cubs. I feel that they could beat the Cubs. I want the Cubs to lose. I want the Cubs fans to suffer some more. I'm no demented that way. I want the Cubs fans to suffer. Because the Cubs are, unlike the Boston Red Sox, who at least got to the World Series 4 times, they got to the playoffs more often than the Cubs ever did. And that's why there's more heartbreak with the Red Sox than the Cubs. The difference with the Cubs and the Red Sox, at least the Red Sox got there. Got to the World Series 4 times, got to the playoffs a bunch of times after that, but not the Cubs. There's only like about maybe the 5th, maybe 6th time since the playoff format started in 1969 that the Cubs have gone into the playoffs, and the Cubs have never had the breaks. They have to have like a Bartman play in their favor, or Buckner play, or Bill Buckner play in their favor for the Cubs to win. At least I feel they have to have the breaks. If they don't get the lucky breaks in the Cubs' favor in this series, I don't think the Cubs are going to win. I know I'm going to get blasted for it if my prediction is wrong, but whatever. I feel if the Cubs don't get the breaks, they're not going to win. They're not going to get to the World Series. Predicting the Dodgers will kick their butt in the playoffs. I'm not going to predict a 4-game sweep like he did last year with the Mets. Because I didn't know what the head-to-head record was between the Dodgers and the Cubs. If the Cubs were like 7-0, 6-0, or 7-0, like they were against the Mets last year, I'll say, okay, the Dodgers are going to sweep the Cubs. If that's not the case, if it was pretty even, I'd say maybe the series would go 6 or 7. If the head-to-head matchup was pretty even, 3-3 or 4-3. Either way, if the Cubs were 4-3 or the Dodgers were 4-3 against the Cubs this year, I'd say maybe a 6 or 7 game series. But of course, for Fox, the Fox Network, which is going to be broadcasting the World Series, the dream matchup is of course going to be the Cubs and Cleveland. The two teams have gone the longest without winning. That's everybody's dream matchup. But unfortunately for that dream matchup, the Cubs have to get there. I don't see the Cubs getting there. I still don't see the Cubs. Even if the Cubs actually do get there, I'm not going to believe it. And by the way, that's pretty much my review on it. But there's one more thing. The thing that ticks me off as a baseball fan. If you do not have cable TV, you cannot see now one playoff game on regular television. I feel that's a damn disgrace. I really, really do. That's not one, because the stupid Fox Network does not want to interrupt the brand new fall season schedule for baseball. For baseball playoffs, because they're not getting the main true baseball, like baseball, basketball, and hockey, on the three big sports that's more regionalized more than anything else. And you can say football to a certain extent. But football, all the games are on regular television. At least in the NFL. For the most part. Even games are scheduled for cable, you can see that game in the local market on a local station. But not to have one baseball playoff game on regular television, I think it's a joke. And it's a disgrace. I mean, they used to be, when the baseball expanded the players from 1 month to 2 months, at least you get to see at least some games on regular television. At least a couple of games, not every single game, but at least a couple of games here and there. But to give the TV people who cannot afford cable a bone and say, okay, here's a couple of playoff games for you, and we're going to broadcast for you. But last year and this year, you're not having one baseball playoff game broadcast on regular television. Not until the World Series, which I think to me is a disgrace. It's a disgrace. So that's my review of. Sorry for my little rant there for the last minute, but that's my review of the League Championship Series. Please click on the video. Please rate it. Please feel free to comment. Please subscribe to my channel, and please forward this video onto your Facebook pages. And you can catch all of my videos, and not only my YouTube channel, but at rowdyc.com. That's OWDY.com. That's the homepage to the Rowdy Reviewer, Chris Lee Moore. Please check out all of his videos, his TV trash videos, and all of his other content on his website. Thanks for watching. Catch you next time.